Hey class, I just wanted to show you some poster examples and just point some things out and clarify some of the expectations. So this poster will be drawn by you with the pen tool mainly. There's no imported bitmaps or no use of symbols or anything like that. Um, you may import a bitmap image to trace. If you do that, I need the image that you imported, and I also need the citations for those images too. Okay, so and again, the sooner you do it, I mean, you could do it in 7 or 8, but it's that's it's just you need to be able to cite things because it's to give credit where credit is due. So anyway, this poster is really off to a good start. Um, the suggestions I gave to her were to diminish the rain a little bit because it's a tourist poster. So usually rain isn't what what cities advertise. This is Seattle, and this was a bit uncomfortable here with these this pier here. But again, we'll look and see how she she changed it, but overall it looks pretty good. There is quite a bit of negative space here. She could have moved the horizon line up a little bit, but overall it looks pretty good. So let's go to this next one. Now, overall, this is really making good progress. It's a little bit complicated in terms of the space is completely filled. It's good to have a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of negative space, so that could also be done with adjusting the color. The sun really doesn't work. This could work, but it's not executed very well. Um, and the birds don't look like they fit in at all. So, I would have put just a couple and made them really small. Because think of how big this bridge is. It's huge. These birds would be like those pterodactyl, huge, dinosaur era birds. The black on the blue is not readable. You can't really see it. So a lot of really good things happening here. Just need some clarification. So this is week 7. So let's just move on here. She spent a ton of time on this, and overall, it's really nice so far. What I had trouble with was the ends of the waves don't make sense to me visually. At first, I didn't know what they were, and I didn't know what these little curly cues were. And I think that's supposed to be like foam on the beach, but it's just not. It's it's not red like that, and these are little surfboards, but then the scale of this is so big, so it's just hard to make sense. Her son looks good. She did this fish herself. It looks great. So again, just a few things need to be clarified. She spent a ton of time, but the thing is that you want to kind of simplify sometimes too. You don't need to go overboard with all the details. Simple is usually, one of the better things, really. Um, this one's okay, but he used a lot of symbols, so he got, lost a lot of points for not creating original work. Overall, it's pretty nice. There's a whole bunch of negative space here, and the text doesn't really look that interesting. And so when you see this, it looks good for a second, but you really don't want to look at it for very long because there's not much to it. So he just needed something else to pull this out. Maybe some clouds, maybe a different kind of a sky, maybe a more interesting gradient. So anyway, but overall not a really bad job. But he did lose the points for the text doesn't really work either. So he did lose points for using the symbols. Now this is a really nice start here. I really like what they have going, but again, kind of crowded right in here. So if they worked with the color a little bit, it could really work because, if you simplify the color, like if these black things in the background kind of don't really work. If they were gray, it would look like it had more unity because they're repeating the blue here up here, so that looks really good, and it's pretty simple colors. I would probably make the cable car stronger because you can't really see it, and it really is an attraction in San Francisco. again, gradients don't go like this. They don't go horizontal. You need to pull your gradient up to down, and I posted tutorials on that. So, and usually it's lighter at the bottom and darker, I think. I always miss that too. Another one that's a pretty good attempt, though again really complicated, and they spent a lot of time drawing all this stuff, but everything is like, notice all these objects are relatively the same scale. So to make it really fit better would be maybe make this a little bigger and then maybe make that smaller, or or the other way around. The red wheel thing here is hard to see. Red on green vibrates because it's a complementary color combination, and so this really doesn't work. I have no idea what these black things are, and they don't really do anything. So same here, there's some green down here, but again, it looks like it's pretty rushed, and it doesn't really work that great. The sky makes it look like kind of smoggy, dingy. Again, you don't want that for a travel poster. This one is actually coming along really well. And this is the rough draft. All the graphics she drew herself. So overall, it's looking really good. I mean, I had some suggestions and she changed some of the things. I mean, because there's a lot of negative space here, and this is all pretty cluttered in here. It could be spread out. There's nothing wrong with having the buildings overlap the arch. But overall, it looks pretty good. You know, it's attractive, it's cute, it's fun. So yeah, overall, now this is off to a good start, though the organization is really random. You know, the bridge is at the top, then there's clouds, then there's this, you know, alligator crocodile thing. So again, each of the graphics are pretty good, but the whole thing just doesn't work together. It looks too random. But again, in Illustrator, if you put, like, let's say I want to put all of this alligator thing in the same folder, same layer folder, then you can easily move the whole thing around. So be sure to do that. These clouds look, I think they're clouds. They look kind of like popcorn. But anyway, so you can see where the objects are looking really good, but there's just the composition needs a lot of work. Whoops. This is a pretty good start. There's her roller coaster. It needs some, well, I don't know, I can't remember the text. Again, look at the gradient. It needs to go from, I would put the light to the dark up like that. It just needs a little bit more something, but again, it's week 7, so it's looking pretty good. I like the roller coaster, and it's just hard to know what the attractions are. It just needs a little bit of clarity. So we'll see how she dealt with it. This one's coming along pretty good. It's just that the scale relationships, you know, he's got some problems. I think this is supposed to be the map, but the perspective is, I mean, we're looking, if it's the map, we're looking down on it, like from the bird's eye point of view, but everything else is from a side view. So, and again, whenever you see like the sides like this, you should see the sides consistently in everything. So this is 1 point, and these are 2-point perspectives. So it becomes some, you know, visual confusion. You know, these filters don't add anything at all, so I would just avoid them unless you can really work with them. This is a really good start. You know, I mean, again, you know, the gradients are overused. You know, we're discussing that this week in the discussion. You know, don't use them unless there's a reason. Now this has more of a reason because it kind of works as lighting, but not in the building. So, and this would have had a little bit more depth if he would have showed another side, like, you know, this side here. And again, I like the golf course. I like the water. Another thing he could have done is he could have made some of these different sizes, so this would add depth too. So and again, he could have done the same thing with the trees. He could have made some smaller and some down here a little bit bigger. The sun kind of doesn't work either. but it's not that bad. So again, just needs more work, and that's usually what the situation is. The students who do good on these things spend, like more than 10 hours on each one draft. Um, Now this is off to a really good start. The bridge here is really problematic. You can't see it. I like the idea of the skyline. I'm pretty sure he used symbols and lost a bunch of points. You will lose probably, if you use a lot of symbols, you'll probably lose almost like a whole grade, because the purpose of this assignment is really to use your skills in Illustrator and really, just create something for your portfolio. And symbols are really easy to use, but they don't really demonstrate any of your uniqueness. Now this is also off to a good start, but the color is kind of dingy for a travel poster. The way he did this Louisville thing, if I was going to do this, I would have made it bigger. It's hard to read these, especially on this dark background. But overall, I like the roller coaster. I like the skyline, and the fireworks work pretty good. So hopefully I can find his fix on it. But again, just because you like this blue doesn't mean the client likes it, or it reflects anything about the city. So again, do your research. Okay, this is her week 8, and you could see that she changed quite a lot of it. She, you can just see she made the mountain bigger. She put the city. So she added a little bit more to fill up this negative space. She got rid of the rain. I think the sky could have been a little bit better. She changed the boat. She changed the cars. The text is working really well. You don't need to label your attraction. She worked with the pier a little bit. She made it less pronounced. So overall, this was probably pretty close to a perfect piece. So again, yeah, the really good changes. She met with me a lot on WebEx, and I hope you do too. We can have some meetings, and I discussed this verbally with her in WebEx. So I would suggest, we can do a couple sessions of that too. This one overall came out pretty good. You really don't need to label the attractions at all, because most people know what they are. I would suggest, though, like a little tagline, which means, Golden City is here. That's fine. You can see what they did. They really did fix up, because this was too strong. They really did make a lot of progress with this. The birds look way better. I would have done something with the sun, and I would have, if they would take the text away here, it would be a lot stronger. Oftentimes the text doesn't add to it. It just creates clutter. They have too many fonts, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's too many fonts. But overall, it's not a perfect score, but they did pretty good. So, and they spent a lot of time drawing all this stuff out. So again, can't really see the plane. Probably not necessary to have that up there. San Francisco's not really known for that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, well, she cleaned up these curlicue things, though the wave parts are still the same. Again, too much text. Really not need, all this text isn't necessary. You don't need to label your attractions. I love her font, and what I would have kept is I would have made this more readable, just because it's the orange and the red create a vibration. I would have made, I just would have made this all a little bit more legible. I probably would have moved the whole thing down just to cut it off here, so there's more, there's less negative space here, but more up here. But overall, it wasn't a perfect score, but it was pretty good. I mean, she did a pretty good job. I'm trying to zoom in. If you see, even when it's zoomed in, it's kind of hard to see that text. All right, let's move on. Overall, this one came out really good. I mean, there's some things I really like. I like that she put the big text in here. I don't think I probably would have kept these smaller and just moved them around. I probably would have also kept the water similar. I don't think it needs this other color, and I think it's now just too complicated. So sometimes simple's a lot better. I would have probably even kept the color palette um, just a lot more to the greens and the blues, and then I would have made these dark reds a little bit lighter, just because it's when you kind of squint your eyes, what you really see is this block here and this. So you want it more to stand out evenly. I would not have used black, or I would have put a stroke or something on it. Um, and I probably would have moved this down just a little bit. But overall, it's not a perfect score, but it's pretty close, because overall she incorporated all the suggestions, and she had a couple drafts in the last week. So I really knew what she was doing, and she just ran out of time. But I think both of these probably were like 20 hours. Okay. You can see that this one made excellent changes. You can see how the map, like I talked about, how you're looking straight down. Now it's he added more perspective, so it's bigger, and then it gets smaller. He, really worked with the buildings. Again, I probably wouldn't have labeled it. And the main issue with this is you can't see this text. I would have probably made it white, because you can see white on dark, or you can see black on light colors, but you can't see this dark black on a dark background. I probably would have put this, and I probably would have added a little tagline, or maybe this works as a tagline too. So I probably would have moved this over here so it's closer to this, and got rid of this other text. You can see how they got rid of the Louisville, and they tried to make some adjustments, but there's a lot of negative space, and the color's still pretty off. You can't really see these attractions. So I probably would have made the whole skyline bigger, so it, because they have plenty of negative space. And again, the gradient is too harsh, needs to be leveled out a little bit more, just, needs to have more transitional colors. Some issues with the text. Overall, it was okay, but I mean, even these firecrackers could have been, you can make them kind of transparent and make them lighter and put them in the background. So I probably would have put these, worked around with the layout of this. There's too much space between the name and the tagline. They need to be closer together. So yeah, that doesn't work for that. He did pretty good resolving this. The bridge is still an issue, and this shouldn't be like right, the Statue of Liberty shouldn't be right on the, bottom of the page. Again, probably doesn't need all these labels. Everybody knows what this stuff is. I probably would have done a little bit more with this upper part, and I probably would not have centered all this text. So again, pretty good execution, just some problems. I probably would have got rid of the bridge because it's not working as it is now. So again, simple can be better. Just keep that in mind, especially if you're getting frustrated. This is one of the last ones, so I know I'm boring you to death. Probably sick of hearing my voice. So she did pretty good with, working with this texture in the water, working with the colors in the sky and so on. It's just this center area is pretty vacant, so everything's kind of around the edges here. So a little bit more, moving stuff around, like maybe making him bigger and moving him here. This is almost there. It just needs a little bit more of something to it. Maybe some people, or just, small figures on the beach, so on. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. It takes a lot of time. I would have used a more stylized font. This is really boring, like Arial. I would have made it a fancier font, and I would have kept a simple font for the tagline, but I probably would have made it italics. This one was off to such a good start, but the text just really messed it up. This is not readable, and you can't see the visit. This kind of like blue and red together is just really hard in the eyes, and it just doesn't work. Doesn't need all these little labels. So this is something where they had a really good grade here, not so good of a grade here, because the text, is such an important thing. It's a poster. So again, this is crazy. And, they could have sent it to me for feedback and I would have told them that, but, they don't. He didn't. So, oh well. This is another one that was a really good grade in week 7, but week 8, too much text. It, it just looks like a lot of clutter, too many fonts, too much going on here. So again, simplify if you have any, any question about anything. One more. I just wanted to show you these two together because they're really fairly consistent and, same font. The state could have been a little bit smaller, but overall really high score. Very consistent in terms of the style. So this could be, this will be a good portfolio piece. It, it looks like it was done for the same client. Maybe a little bit lighter water, but overall they're both really consistent. So this is something to aim for, and this is part of the score is the look and feel for both of these, that they kind of match. So just really keep the looks and the feels similar, text, color, etc. One last thing about just doing research. Just go to Google image search and put like, city tourist posters or whatever. This is one that I pulled from Pinterest. But again, look at how simple. I love this California one. So again, look at how simple they are. But it really works. So, and this is the same artist that did that Seattle one, this Baltimore one. Again, Montana. This one, that Santa Monica is kind of a little bit cluttered. Not all professional posters are really good either. So, this is not the right size, but a really nice, and see how the clouds overlap the bridge. Some of those things really work to create a little bit of depth. Moscow, this looks great. So again, just do a little research, and you can also just get some ideas and think of, really what works. Usually just a little bit of text. I love this San Francisco one too. Let's see what it says. So it says Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco. So again, really nice job. So if you go back out to, if you go to Google image search, and just, just do a search and just kind of look around. This is a great one. This Poma, Roma. Oh, that's Rome. Okay, yeah, Roma, duh. So just click on them and get some ideas, and just think of what stands out to you and what you like about them. Look at, this is really simple. Again, I think it's a fictitious city. There's not enough attractions in here for the rubric, but but overall, here's a couple. There's a New York one. Okay, so anyway, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be doing a WebEx meeting. I'm going to send an email out to see what time works for people, because it really helps to have, a few people. Then we can really discuss these as a group. Okay, so this is a lovely poster. All right, so let me know if you have any questions. I'm really looking forward to seeing your posters. And you can revise your maps too for week 8.